opportunities, activities, just general information. Sometimes, of course, we celebrate our young people as well. And this morning is no different. I am Zanella Claxton from the Department of Education alongside my co-host.
DeAndre Daniel.
And DeAndre, we have a packed house this morning, and we're going to allow them to introduce themselves.
Hello, good morning to everybody. My name is Leandre Dyer. I'm a Youth Development Officer from the Department of Youth. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Alicia Kelly, and I am one of the 25 remarkable teens.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dahlia Slack, and I am one of the 25 most remarkable teens.
Okay, so of course we'll hear more about exactly why these young persons are here, and I know we would have heard the reference made to the 25 most remarkable teens, so we'll hear more about that program. I know not the persons out there listening to us, you're used to hearing about the 25 most remarkable teens, and so it's a privilege to be in the studio with such very important and inspiring young people this morning. And so we'll hear a bit about their journey. Of course, we also know that at the schools for the past few weeks, we've had some activities leading up to track and field athletics, or some of us call it sports term. And so we encourage all parents, we encourage everyone to always support our young people. Make sure that you have the dates when the activities are taking place, and go on out and support. I know that many of the schools had their heats activities this week. So a few had their road relays and their cross countries, and so we, as I said, we're leading up to the sporting events, and we want to make sure that you go out to the actual sports days. So let me give you the dates at the top of the show. We gave them last week, and we'll give them every week until the end of the sports term. Tomorrow, at the Kim Collins Athletic Stadium, we will have the Giant Malt High School Relay Championship, and that takes place tomorrow at the Kim Collins Stadium, and all 3 secondary schools from Nevis will be competing in that relay championship. On February 7th, we have the Maud Smith Preschools Sports Day at the Bath Playfield. On the 18th, Cicely Brown Integrated School will have their meet at the Brown Hill Playfield. On the 21st, the Violet O. Jeffers Nichols Primary School will have theirs at the VOJN Primary Field. Then Gingerland Secondary will have their sports meet on Monday, 24th February at Ball Pasture. And EPPS will have their meet on the 25th, Tuesday 25th, at the Flats. Charlestown Primary then takes us over to the Nevis Athletic Stadium on Wednesday 26th with their sports meet. And on Friday 28th, Ivor Walters Primary takes us back to the Nevis Athletics Stadium. Then we go over into March, Monday 2nd, Vernon Lou Preschool at the school grounds. The 3rd, Tuesday 3rd, St. James Primary School at St. James Primary School's field. St. Thomas's Primary School has their meet on the 4th of March at the St. Thomas's Primary School field. And Nevis Academy and Joycelyn Library Primary both have their meets on the 5th, Thursday 5th of March. The meet for Nevis Academy takes place at the Bath Field, and Joycelyn Library Primary School at Ball Pasture, and that's on Thursday, March 5th. On Friday, March 6th, we have Gingerland Preschool and Maud Cross Preparatory School, Gingerland Preschool. Their activity takes place at the Hard Times Field, Maud Cross Prep, at the ETW Park. On Sunday, 8th March, Charlestown Secondary School back to the Nevis Athletic Stadium. On the 10th, VNJ's Preschool at the Flats. The 11th, we have Naomi's Preschool at the St. Thomas's Primary School field, and Cumbermere Preschool at the VOJN field. On the 13th, we have Montessori having their activity at the Bath playing field. And March 13th to 15th, we'll see the Nevis High School Championship. And of course, we know they have their opening ceremony on the 13th, and they culminate on the 15th. Wednesday, 18th March, Charlestown Preschool at the ETW Park. And 20th March, Ines France Preschool at the St. Thomas's Primary Field. And we end the season on April 1st with the Gulf Insurance Inter-Primary Schools Championship at the Nevis Athletics Stadium. So we have several activities happening. As I said, we encourage all parents to come on board to support. And remember that we are trying to promote student athletes. So while they're doing well in the athletic activities, we encourage you to keep pushing our students to do their very best in their academics as well. It's not a trade-off. It's not either or. It's finding a balance. And so make sure that you are ensuring that they finish their projects, their homework, and everything that they need to do amidst the training. I know their schedule is a bit tighter for those who are more involved in the athletic events, but please, parents, as you support them in one end, we expect you to support them on all fronts. Also, we want to say congratulations to the Gingerland Secondary School. The Gingerland Secondary School had their anniversary service yesterday, and they did it in grand style. I realized they pulled out even the marching band from the Boys Brigade in Gingerland, and so they had a wonderful celebratory activity, and we want to say congratulations to the Gingerland Secondary School as they celebrated their anniversary. And they have, it's always important for us to recognize milestones and for our students to recognize milestones as well. And so these activities are important, and we want the students to always understand that somebody went before you, some bodies went before you, they laid the foundation, and you have to recognize the impact and the investments of those individuals. During the upcoming week, we have open week at St. Thomas's Primary School, and the Gingerland Secondary School has Science Week. We have a few activities, staff development activities happening, and the St. James's Primary School has Academia. It's an activity that's happening at St. James Primary. Parents, you'll hear more about that. And then on Friday, this week, Friday will be a very busy day across the schools. Of course, it's the last Friday of the month, so you're expecting a lot of dress-up days, hot dog days, a few cross-country activities happening. So make sure you keep connected with your individual schools to find out exactly what is happening at the schools. And also, parents, remember that every Wednesday is Still Water Wednesday. Students are not expected to take any juices to school on Wednesdays. We are promoting the consumption of water, and especially in this flu and cold season, the more liquids our students consume, the better, and the sugars won't help to heal their body at all. So we're promoting Water Wednesday, and of course incorporating your fruits to build your immune system. But parents, Water Wednesday is still on. It's not a thing of the past. It was not a one-term thing. It's an ongoing activity. And so on Wednesdays, please try not to put those nice little box juices or bottles of sugar-sweetened beverages in their lunch bags. At the school meals program, at the cafeterias, they only get water, and so we want you to help us to endorse it. There are parents who take it straight down to the end of the day, so at breakfast time, straight down to dinner, it's Water Wednesday. And so we want to thank those parents who have taken that approach. We thank you for your support. We are going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
From Queen City, Nevis, this is the powerhouse of the Eastern Caribbean, Vaughn Radio.
It's time, come on, rise and shine. You know, I know we're gonna have a great time. And now we're past this quickly, you don't wanna miss it. So turn up the radio, it's youth on the go. Youth on the go. Oh, let's start the show. Oh, youth on the go. Oh, let's start the show. Oh, let's go, let's go, let's go. I will learn new things. I will be creative. Grab your gears, let's gather around. An adventure is always waiting. This storytelling is for us, and we always know what's happening. We act, we play, we dance, we sing from 9 to 10 on Saturday morning. Youth on the go. Whoa. Let's start the show. Youth on the go. Whoa. Let's start the show. Whoa. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
So let's go. Good morning, good morning, good morning to all of our radio listeners, our viewers via Von Radio's Facebook and YouTube channels, and welcome to another edition of Youth on the Go here on Von Radio. I am Zanella Claxton alongside my co-host.
DeAndre Daniel.
And DeAndre, we've had the persons in the studio waiting for a little bit. So we won't keep you waiting any longer. For all of you out there, and if you're just tuning in, we have some very important young people in the studio with us this morning. And I'm going to turn over to Mr. Dyer. He's going to tell us a bit about the program and what these young people have, well, some of the things they've been recognized with and that kind of thing, and the general program and what it has to offer. Then we'll speak a bit with the young persons in the studio.
All right, so good morning once again. I'm Leandro Dyer, Youth Development Officer. 25 Most Remarkable Teens program. That's a program that has been running for a few years now. And as a past remarkable teen myself, what I understand from it is that it's a program designed to celebrate the youth, their achievements, their accomplishments, and it's an encouragement for them to strive for, continue to strive for excellence. And so a follow-up from the recently held 25 Most Remarkable Teens ceremony. You know, we had obviously 25 Most Remarkable Teens being awarded, but from the Nevis end, we had 6 being represented, but 2 of which are present today. And we are here basically to, you know, expose them to the public so people could get to know them. And you'll hear more from them as we go on.
All right. And of course, Mr. Dyer, yes, you were a remarkable teen, and so, of course, it makes you a remarkable individual, because once you start walking on a certain path, you're expected and you're viewed in a certain light throughout the course of your life. And so I'm going to start with Dahlia. And Dahlia, you can tell us a bit about the Remarkable Teens experience, starting with the area in which you were awarded. What area were you awarded in?
I was awarded in the category of academics.
In academics, okay. And so, of course, we know that you do a lot more than when people think academics, they think of, you know, writing essays and going to class and paying attention. Tell us some of the things which you have done, which, and I know you had to do an interview, which contributed to you receiving that award.
Okay, my journey started in primary school. I was always, you know, a child that was involved in several competitions, you know, like the dental quiz, various spelling bees, etc. But my journey really started in secondary school, where I entered the Junior Minister of Tourism competition in 2017, where I placed first runner-up. It was an experience that really set off my journey in public speaking. So after that, in my first year of sixth form, I entered the Leeward Island debating competition. We, of course, Nevis won, and we're very happy about that for the 3rd time in a row. So that really started, you know, my public speaking journey.
Okay, so for you, it's a mixture of, well, I'm sure you do well in school,
Yes.
and you get good grades, and then you would have participated and represented your school from, as you said, from primary school and straight on up as late as last year through the debating competition. Are you competing this year, or you're taking a sabbatical?
Of course I will be.
All right, and so what advice would you give to students out there who are viewed as nerds, or who are, you know, sometimes laughed at or criticized for not being able to do other things, but they excel at academics? What advice would you give to them?
Well, it's always good to be able to excel in academics, but I always encourage people younger than me or even students in my class to be a well-rounded individual. Because when you go to university or you want to get a job, they not only look at the side of academics, but they want to know if you're able to, work with people, work as a team, etc. So it's always good to be well-rounded, which is what I've always strived to do.
Okay, wonderful. And as it relates to have you been exposed to your volunteer projects or any of those things as yet, or you haven't gotten to that phase yet?
My volunteer projects? Well, I have an idea of what I would like to do for my volunteer projects.
Okay.
And during the SJAP program, I was enrolled in the SJAP program. I was placed at the mental health unit in Nevis. It was a good experience. It was very hands-on, because even though my end goal is to be a lawyer, I've always wanted to, I was always interested in the area of psychology as well. So that is why I was hoping I was being placed there.
Oh,
It's a very good experience, and even last year, I volunteered to be an intern there.
oh really?
Yes, it was a very good experience. So even though I want to be a lawyer in the end, I'm still interested in that sector.
Okay, so you're thinking of something around that.
around
Now,
that.
the truth is that we've been having a lot of conversations, and a lot of young people have been speaking out in terms of mental illness and the impact that certain challenges have had on their lives and on their families' lives. And, we have the gamut from depression and anxiety, which happens to many persons, of course, straight through to some of the more pronounced mental illnesses that we are used to seeing. From your experiences, how have young people been embracing the concept of mental health, and what have been some of their comments? And as for example, they might hear that you were at a mental health unit, or in interacting even with some of the patients. What kind of experiences have you had?
Well, I will say that there is a stigma surrounding mental health in the Caribbean. It is not taken as seriously, especially for the youths. There's always, when I said I was going to work at the mental health unit, I was faced with a lot of feedback, most of which was negative. So they were saying that, do you want to be surrounded with those quote-unquote crazy people,
Really?
etc., which was very negative. And it is not only seen as that. So, I would encourage parents to, speak to their children from young, to figure out what is going on with them, so they're not afraid to, speak out about what they are going through.
Okay, wonderful. And as I said, as I look at even on Facebook and some status updates, a lot of young people are speaking about, depression, or, they're going through some challenges and they need some support. And some persons are finding it funny. They're using the opportunity to ridicule them, and I don't think that's acceptable. And a lot of it, I think, comes back to lack of understanding and lack of education as it relates to what mental health illness is, and the fact that it can affect anybody. And there is no, if you have certain diseases, you will have the symptoms, you will have the more pronounced symptoms that this person has this particular illness. Mental illness is one of those silent ones where somebody can be sitting next to you, talking to you, your best friend in your house with you, and you don't realize that they're having certain struggles. And I think that there are many misconceptions as it relates to mental illness. I, however, want to say that I am very proud of many young people in Nevis and in the region who have been coming forward and becoming advocates for mental health, and to bring awareness as to what mental illness can do for you. I realize that even in many settings, a lot of the topics and the conversations have been around mental illness. So I want to applaud you for that, and
Thank you.
it is a very brave stance. It's one that is admirable, and I think even through that, in addition to your academics, and it makes you, like you said, holistically developed, and it is very, very, very commendable.
Thank
And
you.
so congratulations on that. I must say also that I look forward to seeing what you come up with for your volunteer project, And awareness is everything. It's not a one day thing. In fact, up to last night, I was following an acquaintance on my wall, and the person was posting, and I realized that the person said mental illness won't stop me. And it's somebody who, I've known for many years, and I later came to find out that the person had been struggling with a mental illness and had to seek professional help. And that's somebody who, as I said, interacts every day. And so a very young person, not even yet 30. And so you're looking at that this is our reality. And then, of course, it causes us to start looking at some of the causes. What are some of the things that are causing persons to become depressed to a certain extent? I mean, you guess you go through periods of sadness, but if you're sad for 2-3 weeks and you can't get out of that, what is causing it? And how can we as people be more observant? We're challenged to be observant in many things. We have to be observant if bullying is happening. We have to be observant. But how can we as young people be more observant? And so, as I said, I'm almost challenging you at the same time. I would love to see the creativity with which you come out, and I would love for it to have an educational component, in the sense that not just serving the persons who are affected, but also raising awareness for those persons out there, and challenges, and using social media and that kind of thing. I would love to see a campaign going. That's not coming from. It's okay to come from a mental health unit, but when it's coming from an individual and advocate, it sometimes has a young person. It sometimes has a different message.
Thank you very much.
All right. Okay. And so we are at the point of another break. So I won't go over to Alicia yet, because when we come back, we'll spend some time talking to her about her experience.
When VON vibrates, the whole Caribbean must shake.
860 AM, the Powerhouse.
It's time, come on, rise and shine. I know we're gonna have a great time. An hour passes quickly, you don't wanna miss it. So turn up the radio, it's Youth on the Go. Youth on the Go. Whoa. Let's start the show. Youth on the Go. Whoa. Let's start the show. Whoa. Let's go. I will learn new things. I will be creative. Grab your gears, let's gather around. An adventure is always waiting. This storytelling is for us, and we always know what's happening. We act, we play, we dance, we sing from 9 to 10 on Saturday morning. Youth on the go. Whoa. Let's start the show. Youth on the go. Whoa. Let's start the show. Whoa. Let's go.
Let's go. Good morning to all of our radio listeners, our viewers via Von Radio's Facebook and YouTube channels, and welcome to another edition of Youth on the Go here on Von Radio. Every Saturday morning, we are here with you. We bring you activities, we bring you opportunities, anything that can positively impact our young people, our students across the Federation, of course, everyone listening to us. And so this morning is no different. I am Zanella Claxton from the Department of Education, alongside my co-host
DeAndre Daniel.
And DeAndre, we have some special people in the studios. So we spoke to Dahlia. Dahlia told us a bit about her journey. For those who are just tuning in, we have some of the remarkable teens. We have two of the remarkable teens from the 25 Most Remarkable Teens program. 6 persons from Nevis were selected during the November activity, and so we're learning a bit more about what made them remarkable. And one thing that we've always said, when I was directly working in the youth department, remarkable does not mean perfect. Sometimes people say, oh, what makes remarkable means that you're doing something outstanding, and specifically in a particular area. And sometimes people, you know, like I said, we have a very interesting culture. And sometimes people say, why was that person selected? And sometimes they say, oh, that's a good person to select because, but there is a judging panel, there's a panel of interviewers, and they're looking out for something that makes that person stand out in a particular area. And as we talk and as we interact with the young persons in the studio, know that we should also be thinking of who are some of the people we can nominate for the next cycle, because even though it's early in the year, the next cycle will be here shortly. And so as we listen, perhaps you can think of somebody who's in your church, who's standing out in some particular way, somebody in your youth group who's standing out, somebody in your school who's standing out or doing something, in somebody in a sports club, or, you know, out there. Sometimes, you know, you pass a particular young person every day and you just admire the young person because of something. You know, they always stop and help others, or you have a neighbor who is outstanding in a particular. Sometimes they're just at home playing music. They go out, they do a music ministry. They go to the Flamboyant home or one of the homes, and they're not doing it. And this is one of the important things as well. These young people were not doing it to get an award, right? And so as we speak, we want you to think of some people who can join this elite group of young persons who were selected over the last few years, including Mr. Dyer here in the studio. But Alicia, tell us a bit about, first of all, the area in which you were selected as one of the remarkable teens for 2019-2020.
Okay, the category in which I was selected was Scholar Athlete and Patriotism.
Okay, Scholar Athlete and Patriotism. Very interesting. I'll start with Scholar Athlete because I guess we've been talking about sports so much, and I spoke about balance. So that means that you were able to really achieve that balance that we spoke about, and you were able to maintain your grades,
Yes.
and while doing well in some sport, or okay. So what athletic area are you currently engaged in, or have been engaged in over
Mostly
years?
track and field.
Track and field. And what are your races?
I'm a distance runner, so I do mostly 800 and 1500 races.
Okay. And do you do the cross country?
Yes, I do. I ran the cross country from since primary school, and I've always placed in the top 6. for
Oh.
all.
Nice. And have you competed in any meets outside of your school sports day?
Yes,
you
I
competed
have
in any meets?
participated in the Nevis Inter-High Championship and also the Sinkits.
Oh.
And I have broken the record at the Mondo track for the 1500 meter
Oh.
last year.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. And were you in primary school? Were you were you involved in athletics as well, or did it start when you got to secondary school?
No, it started in preschool actually.
Oh, okay.
I always used to run all my races, and I got Victory Sladorum in preschool. And then when I went over to primary school, I participated in the inter-primary championships from since grade 3, go right up.
Mm-hmm.
And then in high school, I just continued with the inter-high championship.
What form are you in now?
5th form.
You're in 5th form? Okay, now I feel aged. In my mind, she was about 2nd, 3rd form. That's what I had in my head. So you're in 5th form.
Yes.
And so you're in CXC mode as well. Are you going to be competing anytime during this track and field season?
Yes, I actually will be going to Sinkits tomorrow to participate in the Relay Festival.
Okay, and then you probably will do the other 2 meets coming up
Yes.
after, while in 5th form. And so all this time, you're breaking records and doing all sorts of amazing things. And what form are you in? 5A?
5A1.
Okay, so you're in 5A1. Okay. And how difficult was it for you to be able to strike that balance, to be able to stay in 5A1? Because most times people think athletes, they won't do well, or you start off well and then something drops. Either you drop the athletics or you drop the school, the academics. And so how were you able to?
Well, it's actually very hard. Some people think it's easy, but having to go to classes and still go to training every day. It's kind of hard, but I have managed. And like how like it's sports term, we have to do heat activities, but teachers still want us to do SBAs and other things. So it's very hard, but I get through.
Okay, and you know, if you don't do the SBAs, you'll just get them ungraded. So you kind of have to do them because it's not even just the teacher. CXC makes it compulsory. You have to submit them, and so you're a member of a track club, or how do you?
I train with the school, Chindaland Secondary.
Oh, you train with the school. Wow. Okay, so that's one part of it for you. Then we have to go over to the next element of the next portion of your award, which is patriotism.
Yes.
Full disclosure, just like mental health and mental health awareness, patriotism is very important to me. Love of country, an appreciation of what we have, that's important. How were you able to get that award? What were some of the activities that you did that brought you up to or got you recognized in that area?
Well, I always love my country. Like, of course, I love my country. And I participated in the Tourism Youth Congress 2019. I did not place, but however, the points that I spoke about, I really feel deeply about them. So I'm glad that they were heard and that they may be used to help to make the country better. And also, I am currently a cadet. I'm a part of the Nevis Cadet Corps, and at this training, they tell us about our country. They help us to, first aid and all kinds of stuff that, can help us in our lives.
Okay, so I don't even know where to start. First thing, you knocked me over with cadets because as far as I'm concerned, I'm already exhausted running training, doing SBAs, and now we've added another thing to the mix. But once again, it comes down to a lot of good time management. And I think that you are being prepared to be not just a remarkable team, but an outstanding individual, an outstanding adult, a citizen, a true citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis who represents well. And I always have a special admiration for cadets because, my goodness, the level of discipline. And has anybody ever passed on Friday afternoons in their training when they have cadets? Oh my goodness, they have to go through some rigorous activities, but it teaches you to be disciplined. But I wanted to ask you a bit about some of the ideas you presented at the Tourism Congress. What were some of the ideas that you gave which helped to highlight our country?
In the Congress, I spoke about tourism, which is one of our main industries in St. Kitts and Nevis. I spoke mostly about how we can get tourists into the country and keep them here feeling comfortable and safe while they're at their stay.
Okay. And so what was one of the recommendations that you gave to make them feel comfortable and safe?
Well, one of them was making sure that at the historical sites that there are like cameras, make sure there are security guards so no one can just run in or start to, shoot or something. Yes.
Okay. All right. And so, of course, protecting our country is very important. One of the things that, and either one of you can weigh in on this, one of the things that brings great sadness to my heart is that a lot of times our children, our students, our young people don't fully act like they appreciate. I'm not going to say that they don't appreciate. It doesn't seem like they appreciate and understand the importance of patriotism, loving your country. The activities don't reflect love of country. What is your take on that? Do you have the same viewpoint that sometimes there are some young people, maybe, I don't want to say the majority, but there are some who don't show that they love their country?
Yes, I do agree. Most teens, mostly, they are influenced by social media. So they don't really take time to go outside and Nevis. They just always behind of a screen, so, you know.
And what I've realized is that whenever St. Kitts and Nevis has achieved something, you know, on an international level, that's when we actually start to appreciate what we have. You know, it shouldn't be like that. You know, we should really, you know, you have to dance a yard before you dance abroad, you know.
Yes, and adding on to the point of social media, there's so many outside influences. You know, Nevis has become Americanized in a sense. We are, you know, that we forget about our own culture at the same time during cultural events and things like that. It seems like Nevis has, St. Kitts and Nevis, they have forgotten our roots. You know, we more want to appeal to tourists, and you know, we want to be more like outside influences such as America and Europe, etc.
But you know, the tourists come hoping to see us loving our country and what we have, and that's the sad part. Where we are trying to do so many things to be like others. The reason why others go, why do we go? Do we go to Miami to look for what Nevis has? No, you go to Miami for what Miami has. Would you go to Jamaica to find what Nevis has? No, you go to Jamaica to find what Jamaica has. And so it's sad that when people come here, that maybe, as I said, the screen time is maybe a big contributing factor. Everybody who listens knows how I feel about screen time. I feel it should be limited. I think that they need to go out and, like you said, wow, Nevis, you know, just go out and look out. Just look outside. Just see that the wow, that's what the sunset looks like. That's what the beach looks like. I think the most, even when they're driving to and from school, they probably have some device out.
Yeah.
Nobody's really taking the time out to say,
Yes.
this is ours.
And it's a shame that we know more about like other cultures, other countries, and we don't really know our own. You know, because if you ask, you know, certain young people this thing, that thing about Nevis, they can't really tell you. But you know, you can ask them about Jamaica or Trinidad, they will tell you. And I could recall last year I was in Antigua, and I was at this congress, you know, with youths from all over the Caribbean, and there was somebody from Trinidad, and they heard their music, they heard Trinidadian music, and it was like, you know, I came expecting to hear something different, you know, I didn't expect to hear, you know, oh, music being played. I wanted to hear
Yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like we don't really know what we have. You know, we don't try to explore and see what we have to offer as nationals, you know, Nevisians, Kittitians.
All right, so we've identified a problem, and we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, I think it's time for some solutions. All right, we'll take a short break, and we'll be right back.
Sugar City St. Kitts. Keep it sweet. Keep listening to Vaughn.
It's time, come on, rise and shine. You know, I know we're gonna have a great time. And now we're past this quickly, you don't wanna miss it. So turn up the radio, it's Youth on the Go. Youth on the Go. Oh, let's start the show. Oh, Youth on the Go. Oh, let's start the show. Oh, let's go. I will learn new things. I will be creative. Grab your gears, let's gather around. An adventure is always waiting. This storytelling is for us, and we always know what's happening. We act, we play, we dance, we sing from 9 to 10 on Saturday morning. Youth on the go. Oh, let's start the show. Oh, youth on the go. Oh, let's start the show. Oh, let's go.
Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Good morning, good morning, good morning to all of our radio listeners, our viewers via Vaughn Radio's Facebook and YouTube channels, and welcome to another edition of Youth on the Go here on Vaughn Radio. Every Saturday morning we're here with you, and this Saturday is no different. I am Zanella Claxton from the Department of Education alongside my co-host,
DeAndre Daniel.
DeAndre. We're having a long, very interesting discussion. We've identified some issues in relation to love of country, and now we're going to give some solutions. Any ideas as to what you can do, what all the young people in this studio can do, and those who are listening, their parents, anybody can do to help? We have Alicia, who demonstrates every day that she loves her country. And even even though Dahlia didn't go into and wasn't awarded in patriotism, the fact that she would go out and she would represent in the Tourism Congress, that she represented in the various activities that were held by the school, that she went out and she represented even regionally through the debating competition. It shows a love of country. But even at the very basic level, what are some things that we can do to help to bring an appreciation to our country and to help people to see the importance of loving our music, of loving the environment, loving what the flowers and the sunset and the trees? What are some things that we can do?
Okay, so I can recall in primary school and secondary school, I only learned, probably like little snippets about Nevis and St. Kitts. So it's like, I think that we should be educated more about where we came from as a people, because they teach Caribbean history, but you only, like St. Kitts and Nevis, you only get a little snippet of where we came from. So I think we need to be educated more, because we need to know, well, okay, for example, I live at Matchman's Road, like how did that name came about,
And so when you do some projects, instead of doing a project on Cuba or Haiti or Dominica, maybe you can do a Matchman's Road project.
Yeah. Exactly.
So who's ready for some good news? I love good news. So, of course, I'm hoping that you all know about the curriculum enhancement and review process. Alicia, I think you were in one of the consultations when some persons were asking what you like about school, what you don't like about school. And the students actually gave us the best information. The teachers were good, the principals were good, education officers were good, parents were good, but the students gave us the most rich information as to how we should go about changing the curriculum. The sad thing is that Alicia will be not long gone. She'll be gone before, and she would not be able to experience this part of it, but she would have been part of the process. And one of the things that they said, just like you, is that we hear a lot, we learn a lot about other countries, but we don't learn a lot about ourselves. And so within the next 2 years, we're actually in the process, starting this summer, of writing an extra course called St. Kitts Nevis Studies.
Lovely.
And so it will be teaching, not focused on what's happening or, the regional and international history, but it will be specific to St. Kitts and Nevis. Who are we as a people? What are some of the things that make us, that have brought us to this point? Some things, for example, like you said, communities, and how do you go about naming, and why was it that way? And maybe we wouldn't know, and maybe nobody would know, but then it would force the students to go out and talk to people in your community and get an appreciation of what it was like then, and those types of projects, and even building in some community service type activities within it, so that students can get an appreciation. So from our end, we listened. It came from the students. I think the students are the only group that brought that up. That's one of the things that they felt was missing. And so because they said that, we were able to add it in. And so it is on the list of courses. It will be a compulsory course to graduate high school. You will have to take St. Kitts Nevis Studies before graduation. So everybody has to take St. Kitts Nevis Studies. And you will learn about your economy. How did we get to this point? Our political landscape. Not just historical sites and go visit a historical site, but who we are. Why do we have some of the cultural dances? How did they come about? Who were some of the movers and shakers? They should not just, die and never be recognized again. Because we spend a great bit of time recognizing Martin Luther King. We spend time recognizing a lot of the leaders throughout the region who passed away. But we don't do as well unless they became national heroes, we don't do well recognizing those who really built us as a country. And so St. Kitts Nevis Studies, I'm so happy, Leandra, that you brought that up because it made me feel like we are doing something. All right. Any other ideas as to what we can do to help young people to really get connected to their Nevis and have that sense of, I think it's Nevis, and have that sense of patriotism?
Well, we do, in primary school, we keep several reading competitions, spelling bees, so I think there should be able to be competitions surrounding our culture specifically, at the primary school level and the secondary school level. And since we use social media so much to advertise other cultures and, to post and share our interests about American culture and European culture, we should do the same for St. Kitts and Nevis.
Interesting.
Because I think the youth want something new and, fresh, because they're not really interested. Well, most of them are really not interested in, reading about it and, being lectured about it. So if we revitalize it in a way during the Culturama season in which they will be able to, relate, because we're in newer times now. we're not,
No, I really love to read, but I appreciate that everyone does not like to read as much.
Taking information.
Yes, and I appreciate the fact that they don't like, even if they have to watch something, unless it's an action or their favorite genre, 30 seconds to a minute is enough information in one go. And very visual, you need music, you need graphics. Lord, y'all are demanding, but you need so many things to stimulate you at once. For me, that's overstimulation, but like you said, it's a different time. And so that's a great idea as well. And I'm taking notes mentally and writing as well, so that we can make sure we try to address some of them and take some of your ideas. Because as I said, you're remarkable. You're remarkable not just by getting an award, but you have a lot to say, right? Any other ideas as to what we can do to get people really motivated? Loving our country and who we are. I think that's one of the reasons why you have a lack of love of persons and in your community and the country in a whole causes us to do things which will hurt people. Steal from them because you don't have that level of connection. And so even my advice goes out to the older people, that you have to show an appreciation of the younger people and stop and engage them in conversations sometimes, not to always correct and criticize, but just have normal, how are you, so that they can feel connected. And I think that's one of the things that sometimes older persons, older persons, because of the culture, back to the culture and the study of the culture, you always expected younger persons to approach. You're expected to always, you're the ones who should say good morning, and I agree. You're the ones who should to approach the older persons if you want to find something out, and the older persons are not used to having to approach young people to greet them or to engage them in conversation. And our culture has shifted. There has been a big shift, and so the young people are finding it hard to deal with the older people, and the older people are finding it hard to deal with the younger people, and then that creates a generational gap. Right? And it's a true gap, but I think that I'm encouraging the older persons to reach out, because you represent who we have been for many years, and because there's this gap, it's not funneling down to the younger persons, and it just means that we will have to have a total redefinition of what it means to be someone from St. Kitts and Nevis and to represent St. Kitts and Nevis, and we want it to be something positive, and we don't want to lose all of what happened in the past, but without that connection, we will lose it. So to anyone out there, ladies, and of course, Leandra, if you want to chime in because you are a remarkable teen, anyone out there who maybe knows of someone, the next round will be coming around relatively soon, any advice to persons who can nominate, or any young person who is doing something worth noting, any advice to them?
Well, young people out there, if you're doing something remarkable, don't feel as if it is going unnoticed. Don't do it for the sake of, trying to win an award in the end, because that is not the goal. The goal is to, make St. Kitts and Nevis, a better place, and, to, just get yourself out there, So keep at it. Don't feel like you're not being appreciated, because even though you don't get to be a remarkable teen next year, you're still benefiting and, contributing to your country. So keep at it.
All right.
And also, you don't have to stop doing something that you love to do or you want to do, because other people might say that, why are you doing that? You're not gaining anything from it. You don't have to stop because someone else wants you to stop. If you love it, you can do it.
Yes, keep going, keep going. And I love the fact that you're not doing it for an award. No? Anything to add?
Yeah, well, for me, I always say passion is what keeps one going. So if you're passionate about something, keep doing it. And don't, as Dahlia said, don't just do it for an award. Do it to set an example or blaze the trail for, the generation coming after you, because we all have negative influences being passed on, and there's barely any positives. So, do it not just for you, but for somebody else who may, want that extra push, that extra drive to pursue, something good in life.
All right. And of course, I know that you have people who you want to either say good morning to or thank you to. We're going to do that quickly before we wrap up this morning's show.
I'd like to say good morning to my parents, of course. And I would like to thank teachers, my parents, all other individuals that, kept pushing behind me, even though there were at times I wanted to give up. I would like to thank them for sticking with me and pushing me until I achieve my goals. It is greatly appreciated.
And I know you have a lot more to achieve, so
Yes.
I want to encourage them to keep encouraging you. Alicia?
I would just like to say good morning to everyone listening, and thank you to God first, and my parents and everyone who has pushed me to become the young, remarkable person that I am today.
Wonderful. And of course, Mr. Dyer, any thank yous? Anybody you want to say good morning to? You might be listening or not listening, viewing.
Well, I just want to thank God for being here, and thank everybody for the support, for encouraging the teens, and if you see anybody out there who you think is remarkable, nominations are fast approaching. I don't remember the date exactly, but you could stay tuned to the department's Facebook page, that Department of Youth Nevis. You could like the page, and you'll get further information. And also, just to add, not to prolong, the department has a few activities, coming up. One of which I can remember right now is Poetry Night. So if you're a young poet, or if you're a singer, or if you're somebody who likes to paint or draw, you want a platform for your art to be, channeled, you could consider Poetry Night, and that's on March 21st. For further information, as I said, you could like the department's Facebook page, and you'll get the information. Also, we have Easter camp coming up, and registrations are just around the corner. Early registrations, that's February 10th to the 21st. That's early registration.
All right. Thank you so much, and we look forward to you joining us next week. Have a wonderful week.
With all the power from the tower.